kind of the goal at the same time. That's the one thing that I think probably angers him. It concerned me the most, I think, at that point. See, there's so many disciplines that I have for someone who appears to be so crazy and undisciplined. And I've always said that, they say there's a fine line between genius and insanity. And that would basically mean that if you're insane, you are actually closer to being a genius than someone who's neither a genius nor insane. And really, the person who's going to decide that probably isn't even born yet, and it's persons. And if you look at history, I will send you some money. I will send you a check. If you can show me one part where there's something like a COVID-19 or a moment of war broke out or some sort of political opinion was made, where that the mainstream's idea that is usually kind of accepted, which is weird, 20 years later, but that at the time, in hindsight, looking back, if you can find me one instance where the mainstream's view of what had happened or what their decision was the correct decision for the correct reasons, and that the group that was considered radical at the time, the small percentage of them, at that time, you have to go back in time and live in that moment, not time warp. You will find that the mainstream was never right. It was never right. It's really the way I cheated my way out of COVID. I went out when COVID happened, and not even one person was dead. And I remember seeing videos of movies where nuclear wars were breaking out, and the whole joke was how no one was going to take it seriously. They'd be selling hot dogs in the street. So when I heard from people, not from my sources, this was going down. Now, if I'm not hearing it from my sources, it doesn't mean shit. I'll be honest with you. So I'm seeing all these people telling me about how we got to go home, and I'm like, for what? I really thought for a second when I was buying into it that like they're spraying HIV from airplanes or something. Like it had to be at that level for people to panic so much without there being any proof of it. We have SARS, we have the bird flu. Never have we seen anything like this when no one was even dead yet. Right? Hold on, Triple Bliss. Yes, could I get 2 tacos and a medium Dr. Pepper? Medium Dr. Pepper? That's it. $1.20. But basically, when I saw that happen with COVID, and I had no warning, and I knew my sources were forecasting shit that was basically making your girlfriend's head spin, then again, Exorcist reference, I knew it was bullshit. I knew it was bullshit because I don't get told the truth, and you guys get told bullshit. Now you have to live with that. That's not something pleasant. You think I'm making fun of you? No, I'm kind of telling you how depressing my life is. It's like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I almost never find anyone, except maybe for a few topics, that knows what or even cares what is and what is not. I mean, I remember the whole flat Earth thing, and when people try to get me with that, I'm like, God, you don't even know about that. That was like the people who do the conspiracies trying to fuck up conspiracy theorists. How do you know? Because we're not concerned with things that don't fucking matter. What if the Earth is flat? We're talking about a different level. The Earth can be flat. That doesn't change anything with me. I'm going to Target. What do I give a fuck? Now, if we're at war in Iraq and Afghanistan because 9/11 turns out to be some other group besides what they said, and we're killing people in these countries because of that, that concerns me. If they're putting fluoride in the water and you're stupid and don't understand what Don's saying, or you think I'm crazy, that might concern me. I thought you didn't care what other people thought. No, I care a lot about what other people think. I take it into contention all the time. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to conform to it. Do you see what I'm saying? See, you guys are all believing bullshit right now. Right now is at the peak of the circle that goes full circle. How did they inject a serum into you that got you into accepting lies as the truth? Now, I understand it's not that they're that, but to me they are, because I knew right away, don't drink the Kool-Aid. And what was the Kool-Aid? The Kool-Aid was the next act, like 9/11 was an act, that was called COVID-19. There's no way you would need this many booster shots. And I got a kick out of how they did it because, see, now you're craving and fiending for a drug. It's not, yes, it is a drug. How is it not a drug? In fact, you want to talk about being impure and unclean and not being immaculate. Well, I don't know what more you could get than an untested miracle invented in 2 months for something that doesn't exist. You need 10 booster shot vaccine that you're threatening people's lives to get it. Although if you get it, you're immune. So why the fuck would you care? I mean, now who's a drug addict? You know what I'm saying? You guys are fucked. You guys are fucked. You got to play like punks. So that was part of your payback. Was when you got tricked to getting 15 vaccines and wanting to get a needle stuck in you. You know, that was Kurt Cobain's revenge right there. And, you know, now you say it's so bad that you guys don't even want to admit, in retrospect. I mean, it's almost time for the next flu epidemic, or the next variant. They're at variant Omega with COVID, right? Thank you. Thanks. You too. And see, he knows that ahead of time. He knew that ahead of time. I knew that ahead of time. And I knew that was... It's funny how things mimic each other, you know? There's arc mimicking life, or life mimic arc, as they say. Okay, they say it started in China and this and that. It's either China or Russia. There's like certain ones that you got to pick, I guess, to make these things float or work. I guess there's a rule of lies, even just like there is of truth. They usually mimic each other, but they reverse each other. So really what you're seeing is, you know, when Trump gets in office, the whole world's shocked, you know, on 11/9, right? Okay, remember Comet El Niño? Okay, now you're seeing the things. We thought the end of the world was going to come. We thought a comet was going to hit the Earth. Everyone got all freaked out for no reason. Comet El Niño. Okay, but 4 years later, which is usually the window, you have, well, look what's coming on 11/9. Right. So the world did end. It never comes the way you think it's going to come. But Don knew that was coming. I did not know Trump was coming, but I did know that there was going to be, I did write, and it scared me because I thought the FBI would be back. Because I did clearly predict there is going to be a hacking of the internet. It's exactly what I said. There will be a hacking of the internet, probably Facebook, because I saw, probably within a week left, that there was so much chaos. It was too bizarre that Trump was even in the running, was the funny part about it. So they flipped the script on that. They do that a lot. So they had to throw up a Russian smoke screen, because what happens is your mind bypasses. It's on the mind. That Trump, who no one wants to hear, why are they mentioning Trump? Now we know why. Like he was back in the birth certificate days, he had already been preordained, as they say. And I'm not even saying it's the Illuminati. It's God's. And sometimes we don't like his decisions, but in the long run, we see why he had to do them. But I'm going to go along with the old narrative of I saw it coming. So what do? I post on Facebook. They're going to have to hack the internet. There's too much truth on the internet. There's too much stuff exposed. They have to create a smoke screen. Now you got to keep in mind, nobody, especially these companies that get paid millions of dollars, more than that. Rupert Murdoch just paid out. Now Rupert Murdoch owns Fox. That's a lot of money. I've been on Rupert Murdoch's jet. It's 3 times bigger than Trump's, I promise you. The guy's a smart guy. He just wants to make money. He's honest. And he has a Korean airline that didn't even have a ramp. He had a ramp installed onto it. Trump's jet is not even as cool as a Gulfstream. But Rupert Murdoch's a smart motherfucker. So let me get this right. There is only one conservative news station. I'll agree with you on that. All the other ones are really fucking extreme left. In fact, they're acting really stupid, because why they're following the story on Trump when Trump spent no money on his campaign on television? Because why would he spend any money? You're covering him as it is. Oh, you're just making him famous, just like you are me. And those are the people who are like, what are you talking about? No one talks about you. No, you think no one talks about me. But that's what I'm saying. No one would not talk about him. No one's going to get it that right. No one's going to be able to predict earthquakes and not get talked about. You're going to have to suppress that heavily, very heavily. And that's what happened. So when he comes out and says, you guys are going to hack the internet because you have no other way to cover up whatever happens in this next election. And then you come out and you say, oh, on Facebook, the Russians tricked your children into not voting for Hillary. I mean, that is one of the biggest insults to Americans that I've ever heard in my life. That was a bigger insult than if Russia... I mean, keep in mind, all this election money, every other election, had been people using your money to make up lies and rumors about the other guy. So when Americans donate money to your campaign, you can create swift boat lies, Bush avoided Vietnam with the National Guard. It's cool when we do it with our money. But when the Russians do it, apparently they do it so much better, and we can't see it, which is bullshit, when we've been seeing it for years, that they claim that's a chance, because otherwise they would never have gotten away with what could have been a riot for legitimate reasons with a guy who didn't even get the popular vote. And keep in mind, the Republican statistics show 40% of eligible voters did not vote. And I'll guarantee you what generation they're from. And this was very clear, because in all the newspapers, especially the alternative ones, it was important that they didn't collaborate together to say, on their covers, why did so many people not vote? Well, who did we have to vote for? I've even heard Southern evangelists say this, that the body of Christ was responsible not just for Trump, but for Hillary. Why? Because they're known to not vote. Right then, he just gave it up right there. That was one of the best lines I've ever heard in my life. He said it was just his opinion, but the guy's a smart guy. That's why I listen to him. I listen to Farrakhan. I listen to Right Wing. I want to hear all of them. You guys can't do that. Wait till you read the Quran and you find out these guys aren't nothing. What the fuck do these guys have to do with Islam? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Wait till you find out Hamas is a bunch of kooks that are just doing what they want to do in the name of Islam so that you don't look at Islam. You're going to be rocked. That's your next big awakening, I promise you. But you have to read the Quran, but you won't do that because you just assume you already know about it or you're scared to. And when you start reading it, you're like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything they're doing? Now, I'm not saying that there's not real Muslims out there. I'm saying that all you're seeing is some made-up gang. But keep in mind, they're Iran-backed. Yeah, whatever, dude. They're Iran-backed. Dude, if you go to war with the country that's backing the other countries, America's fucked. Because right now, Gen X is in the Ukraine. I hope you know that too. I mean, there's so many reflectors. I call it a reflector. Basically, where can I see my situation somewhat reflected? I mean, there's variances somewhere in the world. Gen X is definitely, and I'm definitely on one of the front lines, definitely in the Ukraine right now. Because we have this new order coming in, or even old order, or meaning our parents, if you want to call it that, baby boomers, combining kind of mentally with these younger punks that are like in their 20s and 30s to make up, Putin's Russia. And then you have a country that wants their freedom. They want to be able to do what they want to do. That is clearly a hallmark that no one can claim better than Gen X. And everyone says that they want to be free, but no one backs it up. No one's proven more than Gen X. So when you see that that's the heart of Ukraine, Ukraine wants to remain independent. They're not fucking with anybody. They know you want something that they have. That's why you're attacking them. You don't just want them to be back in your gang again. You want to bring them back in an evil way. And so if you think about it, you go, wow, it's unseen. It's totally unseen. But when you're getting canceled on loans or you're getting harassed by police, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what color you are. That is an attack on Gen X, and you're seeing that where? Where's the reflector? Watch the war in the Ukraine. And so we're talking about a spiritual warfare, right, just like Brad Pitt said in Fight Club. The prophecy that they said was a prophecy, yeah, sure it was. Came true. What? Our great war is going to be a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is going to be our lives. They played that from day one in 1999, and you had no clue that they were going to be accurate. So our great war is a spiritual war. What's the great war right now? Okay, the thing with Israel and Hamas is bullshit. They did not attack Israel on paragliders. All right, they're just a fucking street gang. That's like the United States Army and military declaring war on the Crips and Bloods and then killing every other black person because of the Crips and Bloods. That's what they're doing to Muslims. That's a fact. All right, so when you look at the Ukraine and Russia, that's a real old school war. In fact, it's very much like the war we're doing. What? Old school meets new school. We have guys in trenches that cannot use walkie-talkies because the click of the radio, cell phones, is dialing their location in, hint. And they're in trenches, but they use drones to drop bombs. So you have a little bit of 1911 and you have a little bit of 2011. It's very crazy, but it's very real. This guy will tell you everything you want to know. You know what I'm saying? But the problem is the people that are supposed to hear it don't believe me. The people that are not supposed to hear it, they have to hear it because the rule kind of is, I can't keep a secret, man. I can't only tell my side and say, don't tell the other side. Why? Because it takes away from the heart of the war. The truth. The whole universe is built on truth. You know how the movie ends. I don't know where I die in this movie. I probably will not see the end, or if I do, I won't be on this planet. But one of the reasons he has to come out and say things, and when people try to hush me up, I'm like, dude, you don't even know then. You're not one of my operatives. Why? Because if he does that, then they can claim afterwards, wait, you're not truth. You kept a secret from us. You win the war, and then you're telling us that you were secretly telling your friends on the side that this and this and is gonna happen. And, no, you have to announce it publicly, and the other side does that too, just on the back side of the paper. So you'll find out after like 9/11, there were signs. You see what I'm saying? They were trying to tell you. The Illuminati was warning us. No, the Illuminati was playing by the universal law. If you want to believe that too, and plus those fingerprints are going to be on everything. That means that God was involved. And you guys call it Freemasonry because you don't want to say the word God. And that's why I'm down with God. Why? Because no one else that I trust, which is nobody. You guys are always, my life is just a bunch of Don, it's your faults, and now I'm learning, dude, I'm living in a world where everyone thinks it's my fault, and it's really not. How am I going to win that war? You're not, except to start realizing that you got to live your life. I mean, you got to be an outlaw, I guess, because otherwise you will die. But you'll succeed if you as an outlaw because you fail when you do it their way. Sounds like rehab. Yeah, exactly. When you did it their way, everything went bad. When you rehab your way, which they would say, no, we can't do that. That's cheating. No, you're not unique. You're not special. Then it works for him when he does it his way. When Wendy leaves him, he's not addicted to drugs anymore. Why is that? He didn't even have a craving for them. So he figured that one out, right? So it's when they're telling him not to do something, he does something. Exactly. It's a paradoxical, just like God made me. Thanks God. And it's a hell of a handicap to live with, but it's not a handicap. Why? Because he's a loose cannon, which means he's right on target. And that's a weapon. It's a weapon that is not a weapon. It's a weapon that God says, I can use this guy. He has a real heart. He cares. People make fun of him because he's paying attention to what's going on with other races and other cultures, and he cares a lot about his own culture and his country, and his friends don't give a fuck about him. That's my man right there. I need that guy. The guy who cares but nobody likes. That's my storyline, and it's legitimate. I didn't place him here. He was just raised that way. He suffers for it, but in the long run, he's going to be famous for it. Now, let's not go too far. I just want to die. See what I'm saying? And I don't let him. He dies, and I bring him back. Yo, Black, let's know the story.